Yo, what's up, Hivers? Hope everybody's good on this Tuesday morning of June 17th. Hope everybody's good. I got 3 tunes for you, plus a bonus jam. I wasn't really sure what to do with the theme today, so I just picked a song and then I tried to think of what would kind of fit with it. Definitely a similar vibe today. I picked the band All, ALL. Really hard to look up because when you look up All, whether you capitalize it or not, it's just, a lot of random stuff comes up. So you generally got to use the album title or song title with it to pull it up on YouTube. Same thing with streaming services. I had to go to a different band that has some of the same members and go to suggested listening. It's quite interesting how annoying it is to just look up this band called All. It's definitely not the best band name for, getting really famous purposes, which this band never did. But anyway, I'm going to start off with the band Big Drill Car. So these 3 bands I'm picking the Descendants, 80s punk band. We're going to do a 90s song. But, they're known for being an 80s punk band. Their lead singer leaves. Milo goes to college. The lead singer leaves. And then the 3 guys left keep writing songs, and they start the band All because they did not want to replace their lead singer. They just felt like it wasn't the same band. So they started a band called All. To even make it more confusing, the Descendants' last album in 1987... again, they've put out records since then, but at the time, it was their last album before, doing a side project and making that the new thing. They decided to call the band All, which is also the title of the last Descendants album in 1987. So just a bad marketing move. All around, just not a good move. Should have picked something totally separate. And, yeah, it is what it is. But the music, I gotta say, it's very underrated. I personally think the Descendants are one of the most important 80s punk bands. But I purposely picked, one of the Descendants songs that is a little more on the melodic kind of rock side. But yeah, that's the obvious reason why All and Descendants have a similar vibe. Because it's the same drummer, same bass player, same guitarist, different lead singer. And all right, so the band Big Drill Car has no connection to those 2 bands. But for some reason, they just have the same vibe. I don't know why. A lot of people like the band Big Drill Car, and they assume they have something to do with the band All or Descendants. They don't. But yeah, so basically, might be a little confusing. Basically, All and Descendants, the second and third pick, share members, and one, they started one band because the lead singer left and went to become a marine biologist or something like that. And then Big Drill Car has nothing to do with them, but they sound very similar. It's kind of just this very unique sound. So yeah, now that you're more confused, first up is the band Big Drill Car. Their 1991 record, what is it called? Oh, I pulled up the wrong record. Hold on one second, my friends. I definitely pulled up the wrong album. Hold on. The name of the album is Batch 1991. I'm going to be sharing the opening track, the song Take Away. One of these songs that I think a lot of people like, and maybe it's not a record that they listen to cover to cover very often. At least that's kind of the case for me. I always heard, this band sounds a lot like All and Descendants. Check it out. And I assume that maybe like one of the guys in the other bands was in this band because it really sounds really similar vibe-wise. But yeah, no, nothing in common. I think they played some shows together, but besides that, kind of just a unique happy accident. Maybe they had some of the same influences, I'm not sure. But yeah, the song Takeaway from the 1991 album Batch from the band Big Drill Car. All right, next up, the band All. Now, this is from the album Allroy's Revenge. Again, the Descendants were a band that put out 4 albums in the 80s, 1982, 85, 86, 87. The lead singer leaves the band, and instead of getting a new lead singer and keeping, the band together, which would be kind of lame, honestly, like if you change the lead singer and one of the main songwriters, it's basically a different band, like it's not like Dave Grohl and Chris Novoselic were going to keep Nirvana going, after Kurt Cobain, pieced out. Little different circumstances, leaving the band and, untimely leaving the earth. But anyway, they start this band All. They actually went through a few different lead singers early on. So their first 4 albums have 3 different singers. Look, you got to give the guys credit. They wanted to go on tour. They were willing to start fresh. They were willing to start fresh and not, market, we're the guys from the Descendants. Come see us live and we're going to play half our set is going to be old Descendants songs. They might have done a couple, but they did not do that. They just started a new band. Personally, looking back, I think it was a terrible mistake. I think they would have been better off just getting a different lead singer. Because I think in the late 80s, early 90s, a band like the Descendants really, really could have commercially had some success. But hey, what are you going to do? They were in their songwriting prime, and instead of doing that, they decided to confuse everybody, start a new band, call it the title of the other band's last album. And yeah, it is what it is. But because of all that, the band All is definitely very, very, very underground. A lot of people are not aware who they are. I'm going to pick the song She's My Ex from the 1989 album Allroy's Revenge. They put out an album every year from like 85 with the Descendants, 86, 87, and then 88, 89, 90, 91, 92, 93 with the band All. If they had just slowed down a little and kept the Descendants going, I think they probably would have had some mainstream success. I really do. Because I think their songwriting, they must have been like in their early 30s at this point. I can kind of hear traces of like Billy Idol kind of vibe in some of these songs. The song Just Perfect, or even this song, She's My Ex. I just get a kind of Billy Idol kind of vibe, and you look at what was going on at the time. If this had been the Descendants and the old lead singer, I just feel like they would have had some big offers to maybe do a major label album. And they might have had what it takes to have a hit, a 1989, 1990, kind of pop rock kind of hit. That's just my opinion. I don't know. But for now, enjoy She's My Ex. Again, they just kind of were cursed that they were like, this new band. Everyone was shouting at their concerts, play the Descendants, play the Descendants, which is what I'm going to do right now. So the guys from All basically winded it down. They were not really making a living by the mid-90s. They did sign to a major label for one album. They played Conan O'Brien. You could look for it on YouTube. But it was very clear that, it just wasn't really working on from a commercial place where they can make a good living at it. So what do? They call up their buddy Milo, who was a, quantum physics scientist or something now. They record their first album since 1987. The Descendants, 1996, Everything Sucks record, on the label Epitaph Records, their first album on that label. The same label we discussed last week, talking about The Offspring. Their album Smash was on it. The band Rancid. I think that might have been 90s Friday that I was talking about that, not ThreeTuneTuesday. A big independent label with a lot of distribution. And they toured. They went on a big punk rock tour that summer in 96. And, didn't really do anything commercially. I know there's an interview with Dave Grohl where he's like talking about, oh, the Descendants are coming back. They're going to be huge. They're going to be huge. With Green Day and The Offspring, blowing up. I think a lot of people thought, oh, the band that influenced them is obviously going to have commercial success, which did not happen. But the Descendants did reunite for a couple tours and put out a really cool album. This song has a couple of really fast, punky songs, like Everything Sucks. Coffee Mug is a great song. But I'm going with a song that was a little more, kind of sounds like what they were doing with All. I'm going to do the song When I Get Old. Just very catchy, melodic, band music. And yeah, the band ended up, touring a little bit. Milo went back to his job as a marine biologist or whatever. And then the band all got back together, did an album in 98, Mass Nerder, which I think those songs were written to be the next Descendants record. It's all very confusing, to be honest. But to me, it sounds like those songs are basically just Descendants songs. And then when the lead singer was like, I got to go back to work, they just recorded it with their other guy and released it as an All album. And they also released another album in 99, and that's the last All record we ever got. Again, same group of songwriters. All four of the band members wrote songs for the Descendants, so obviously the band All sounded very similar. I think, and these days the Descendants are huge. They can play, punk rock festivals, and they probably get paid like 40, 50 grand. They can tour full time, make a living at it, not get rich, but definitely make a living at it. And you just got to wonder if they had never broken up. I just, you look at bands like Social Distortion, who got a major label deal, signed in the late 80s, came out in 1990 with songs like Story of My Life, got some, alternative rock radio play. And with what they were doing on their side project All, you would have had this kind of poppy punk, raw energy, but if they, the guitarist really did sound like Billy Idol's guitarist, wasn't afraid to do solos here and there. I feel like the Descendants, there's an alternate universe where they never broke up, and in 1989 or 1990, they actually had a hit on MTV on alternative rock radio, which kind of would have been a bridge from the old 80s stuff to, the 90s skate punk stuff, which they still are regardless of not making it commercially. Some people might laugh and literally smirk and say, Descendants commercial? What are you talking about? But especially when Blink-182 blew up in 99 with their Enema of the State record, when you hear Blink-182, you can hear the Descendants. Literally, the Descendants are the reason Blink-182 sounds the way they did. And, it makes you wonder, could they have, if they hadn't taken that break? There's so many good songs by the band All, but they never really got heard. I think this song that I did for tune number 2, She's My Ex, if you pump up the production on it, picture Billy Idol singing it. To me, it sounds like a hit. Just my opinion, though. Oh, no. Okay, cool. I thought the recording stopped and I was about to freak out. All right, so bonus jam. I'm going to pick a song from the band Shades Apart. The lead singer of Shades Apart, let's just confuse it even more, was in the band All for 3 albums. They actually signed to a major label and put out 2 albums on Universal in 99 and 2001, but did not get any kind of mainstream success. But they were signed to a big label. Their song Stranger by the Day was on the American Pie soundtrack in 1999. This song is from their 1997 indie album. Seeing Thing is the album title. It's the opening track. I feel like I'm pronouncing the name of the song wrong. Cathode. Cathode? Cathode. Just a cool opening track. A little bit of a connection to some of the other bands, so I figured I'd throw it on as a bonus jam. And now that you're all confused, go check out All, go check out Descendants. If you're having trouble typing in All and it's just auto correcting it because it's literally one of the worst names to specifically find anywhere, look up the Descendants. You can see how it's spelled incorrectly, which is a blessing because that means you can find it without like a million things coming up like, find your descendants, 23andme.com. And yeah, you should be able to find it like, when you scroll down, and find bands kind of connected to them, you should be able to find All. Great live band. And, again, it's just this image in time where these guys were in their prime songwriting, vibe, and just not a lot of people heard it. I will say the All records, there's definitely some filler, but I think songs like Just Perfect, She's My Ex, among others, are some of the catchiest songs, written by kind of an alternative rock band at the time. You think of bands like Husker Du, which were like melodic rock bands, I think bands like the Goo Goo Dolls really were influenced by them. I think the Goo Goo Dolls were really influenced by the Descendants. And, just this kind of, pop melodic element to, being a rock band. But enjoy the 4 tunes total. Again, Big Drill Car, the first track, has no connection to the other 3 bands in the post. I just think they sound kind of like a similar vibe. And, yeah, that's my confusing 3-Tune Tuesday post about Big Drill Car, All, and the Descendants, plus bonus jam from Shades Apart. Enjoy the tunes later.